Hey everyone, Dr. Frunkey here with an awesome new knife console for you on the Philippe Jourget HiFi. This is a collaborative effort with designer Tashi Bharucha. Both of these gentlemen are French knife makers and designers. This is where they worked together to come up with this design. If this design looks very familiar, that's because Tashi's designs are all over the knife community. He's done a lot of custom knives. He's collaborated with a lot of custom makers. You can see his works in a lot of production knives as well. Custom Knife Factory, Andre Van Heerden, you name it. These guys have knife designs. Mass Drop has knife designs. Jerry McGinnis made a knife with him. And many Fox Knives has the Phoenix that looks a lot like this. You're going to see this design repeated in many different iterations throughout the knife community. This is a particularly interesting one because it fuses two French makers, and so it really brings a French connection that's unusual and very, very unique. This also happens to be my favorite iteration of this type of design, and I'll tell you a little bit more about why as we get into this. So let's go ahead and get some vital signs here on this HiFi. This is a very nicely sized knife with a 3.5-inch blade with 8 inches of overall length, just under 8 inches. So for my French friends, you're getting 85 millimeters of blade length and just under 200 millimeters of overall length. The handle length is coming in at about 115 millimeters, aka 4.5 inches, with the grip area about 3.75 inches. Or about 90 millimeters. So it is a 3.5-inch knife. So for my size 8 sterile glove hands right here, or extra large gloved hands, this knife comes in with a very, very nice size. I'm able to get a full 4-finger grip on the handle, and my thumb rests very nicely on the blade right there. Let's bring out another couple of knives for a size comparison. I'm going to bring out the Spyderco Paramilitary 2 and the Para 3. Here you're going to see that this knife slots right in between these two knives for a very nice everyday carry size. Certainly you get quite a bit of blade and blade length with that nice blade shape right there. Another couple of knives. Here is the Philippe Jourget FIF 20, also a 3.5-inch bladed knife. Here you're going to see how Philippe's reserved sort of approach brings a very nice and classy knife to the table. Here you'll see the FIF 23, which is a much, much larger knife than either of those. So we'll get these guys off the screen, and we'll take a closer look and break the HiFi down anatomically. Up front, we are looking at a blade of CPM 154. Philippe works pretty much exclusively in this steel, and that is totally fine. In my experience, when a custom maker hardens this themselves and they get it heat treated and everything, it tends to be an excellent steel and hold a nice edge. This one he's finished in a hand rub satin. The blade grind is all Tashi on this one. This is the classic Tashi Bharucha design, sort of a modified harpoon drop point design with a very dropped tip right here and an upsweeping belly. A very useful and very nice everyday carry blade shape. You get a very nice tip, you get a nice belly, and a nice amount of blade length for a 3.5-inch blade. Here you can see there's a nice sharpening choil up front, and if you wanted to sneak your forward finger up a little bit, you could if you really wanted to. Over the top, your finger can rest nicely on the harpoon, and you can get some finer tip control right there. The blade stock is actually coming in at a rather standard 162 thousandths right there, but this full flat ground blade tapers to a very, very thin, let's see, 0.018 behind the edge. Let's see, I got to get that right where I'm looking right here. 0.022, 0.023. For reference, the Spyderco Paramilitary 2 comes in at 0.024. So similar in many ways and slicey as a PM2. So something that I really enjoy about Philippe's work is that he designs these knives and they are very beautiful, but at the same time he makes them absolute tools. The blades are ground to be used, and the finishes are made to be used. And I really love that about his knives. Moving back to the pivot, this runs on some very smooth ceramic ball bearings. Very, very nice action on the opening. The detent is also ceramic. And so the knife absolutely fires out. Very crisp, very strong detent. Similar to the FIF 20 over there, Philippe enjoys a nice strong detent. The flipper tab here, although it's curved upwards, is nicely contoured and not uncomfortable to flip. Provides for a very fast flipping motion right there and a very satisfying drop closure feeling. It's not going to fall shut as quickly as some other knives, but it has that very refined and smooth drop closure that you feel in high-end knives. It feels very tuned rather than just freely falling like some knives have. One of the things I appreciate is when blades are sort of contoured to the handles like this. And it's just very nicely done with the finish work and everything. It's just a beautiful thing to look at. The pivot itself is very reserved. It's a simple screw that has been satin finished. The pivot on this side is just a straight piece right here, a straight flat piece. That moving back to the handle, beautifully contoured pieces of titanium done in this beautiful media blasted finish. An absolutely beautiful finish. This is similar in many ways to the finish on my Peter Rizzenti Nirvana. An absolutely tough finish to show anywhere. You can pocket these and it just shows no wear. It's similar. It's almost like a bead blasted orange peel finish, and it's just very, very tough. Here he's provided some bronze anodized titanium accents with the back spacer that goes to about half length. There's an included lanyard hole. Check out how beautiful that looks with the chamfered holes. All of these holes are chamfered in the handle. The only other maker that I have really seen do that, and I know that some makers do it, but the guys I only have real experience with is Frank Fisher. These are all chamfered on this knife. They just don't show up quite as much because they've all been coated black. But very, very nice details on this thing all around. Beautifully, beautifully done. Take a look at the finish and the way that looks back there. The way the back spacer is incorporated here to the back. One of the things I love about Philippe is the way that he puts a handle into, or a blade into a handle. Take a look right here. Don't mind the blade centering. That may be due to just a slight loosening. It's fairly on center right here. It is a handmade knife, bear in mind. Let's see if I can actually do any tuning. When I bring it up close, I get a bit embarrassed if it's a little bit off center, but that shouldn't necessarily be representative of a maker's work because I have been flipping this knife without any Loctite. So take a look right there at how close that tip comes to the absolute tip of the edge of the handle. Amazing blade to handle ratio right here in squeezing that in there. And no, you can't get your finger anywhere near it. Brilliant design by Tashi, and then brilliant execution here by Philippe. The blade is far away from the spine over here. What do I think of this knife? I think it's absolutely brilliant. This is a handmade custom knife designed by a Frenchman, executed by a Frenchman, and it just shows an absolute passion for perfection and detail. This is one of those knives that if you just saw it on a table with a bunch of other Tashi production knives, you might overlook it. But that's what makes this knife so brilliant, and that's how you know that this is a brilliantly made handmade knife, because you can't tell a difference between this and a high-end production machine-made knife. And that's where you find the highest-end custom knife makers, and Philippe is certainly among the very best. This knife, maybe even more so than the FIF, shows an absolute perfection and attention to detail. The 3D contouring here on the handle is simply spectacular. The beautiful hand rub satin on this big blade, very, very nicely done. Both of these knives are excellent. Philippe is one of my current grail makers right now, and I really hope to get a knife from him at some point in the future. I'm filming this video before I go to the Blade Show 2019, so I may come home with something. Who knows? I already have the CKF Fief 23. And so if you can't get one of his custom knives, check out the Custom Knife Factory version that's just come out and my video that I made on that. So thank you guys for watching. Leave some comments down below about what you think of the HiFi. Click like and subscribe to my YouTube channel here. Head over to Instagram and follow me at Dr. Frunkey. Follow Philippe Jourget on Instagram as well. And if you want to support my channel, head over to patreon.com/Dr. Frunkey, where you can help to make some excellent videos moving forward. Thank you guys so much for watching, and as always, take care.